Rosie and David, Rosie, start with you. Gut response to what you heard. What stood out?
It was not a chaotic debate.
Nope.
It was not a debate where people interrupted people too much. It was a debate where if you were watching and listening, you would have got some clarity on people's positions, and I think you would have understood where they're coming from. It is not surprising, I wouldn't think to anybody, that Mark Carney was under attack from all sides tonight. Yves-François Blanchet really went after him on multiple accounts, but I was very surprised too by the energy of Jagmeet Singh. Jagmeet Singh came out swinging on going after the Conservatives and Liberals, picked on Mark Carney multiple times, and we'll get to some of the examples, but he actually was more aggressive than I expected. Mark Carney did fine, I think is how I would say it.
In what sense? Fine.
I think that he struggled sometimes to get into the debate because of the language. Not that it's a barrier, but it's a bigger obstacle for him. So I think he got better as the course of the debate went on. And Pierre Poilievre, if people were expecting to see the attack dog that we are used to seeing in Parliament, that is not who we got tonight. We got someone who was more calmly litigating his points and his policies, and we can go over some of the differences because there were some stark differences on pipelines, on immigration, on the CBC, on sovereignty of this country. So we can go through some of those, but those are sort of my initial thoughts in terms of tone and approach. Did this change anything, which is always the question? I'm not sure that it really substantially moved anything, but we can talk more about what that might mean.
Some good lines. I mean, right out of the gate, I think there were some. Jagmeet Singh called the Bloc Québécois as useless as the monarchy. Yves-François Blanchet got some lines in there calling Mark Carney's math, equivalent to Harry Potter financial framework. So, they were trying for the lines. So a little spicy, but not that much.
Well, look, first of all, on the big issue that's dominating Quebec, the Canadians and the Hurricanes are tied at 1 at the end of the first period.
Thank you for that.
This is why we're on earlier because of this. But look, I think I agree with Rosie a little bit. Like, there are some contrast points and things being differentiated. What you talked about there with Jagmeet Singh going after Mr. Blanchet, saying you're as useless as the monarchy. These are two parties getting squeezed out of a very binary national election, the Bloc being sidelined in Quebec the way the NDP is being sidelined in English Canada, both trying to make the pitch for another minority parliament with them having the balance of power. It's a very difficult argument to make in an election that is so polarized broadly between the Conservatives and the Liberals, with the Donald Trump factor overshadowing everything. But what Jagmeet Singh is trying to do there to voters in Quebec and francophones outside of Quebec is that the NDP actually has a list of achievements to put on the table as a player in a minority parliament. They delivered some things through the supply and confidence agreement with the Liberals, and they're making the point that the Bloc can't, hasn't. And this sort of leads into the sort of typical Liberal attack inside Quebec, is that Conservatives won't, the Bloc can't, and this is where we come in. And this is the challenge for Carney in this, in terms of making that argument in his second language, where he, as the front runner, in all the major battlegrounds in this country, is under attack from everybody. I agree with Rosie that Jagmeet Singh sort of was attacking in all directions because he has fights in every direction, right? The red-orange fights in Ontario, the blue-orange and red-orange fights in British Columbia, where they're fighting for party status and trying to hold on to Alexandre Boulerice here in Montreal, to maybe get Ruth Ellen Brousseau or Craig Sauvé to join them in the House of Commons as Quebec MPs. He has to fight on every front with the fewest resources and some of the lowest polling numbers, and in a tough political environment. And he's going to use every stage he can use to do it. And he also is desperately, as you saw throughout this debate, trying to put healthcare front and center. Yeah. This is an issue the NDP believes they're associated with, going back to Tommy Douglas with dental care and pharmacare. He wants that issue. And they're even getting into it with Patrice Roy at the end, saying, you cut me off every time I try to talk about it.
That was interesting. That's where he was especially angry at appearing to be, in his mind, shortchanged on the time, because he was trying.
He was by a couple of minutes too, and you saw the tally at the end. He got the least amount of time of everybody.
But healthcare wasn't one of the topics, right? And he was clearly not happy with that. And Patrice Roy said, "We will let you talk about it." But that is because Jagmeet Singh is trying to justify why he propped up a Liberal government for so long.
That's
and
right.
The justification is, we got you this program and this program. And if Canadians and Quebecers can't understand that claim, then it becomes very difficult for him to make the argument that anyone should vote for him at all.
Which is why he tries to wedge it into every theme. Identity, it's fundamentally about healthcare in his explanation.